Harihi Om. Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Dear friends, we are approaching end of 2021. Before saying goodbye to this year, let's try to inculcate a beautiful quality that is absolutely necessary for human life: forgiveness. Let's understand the power of forgiveness. In this video, we are going to touch upon various topics related to forgiveness. What is forgiveness? Understand the role of ego in forgiveness. Myths about forgiveness. What's in for me? Why should I forgive? How to forgive? And role of devotion in learning forgiveness. Let's get started. Human beings are complex characters. Sometimes we hurt and sometimes we are hurt. In both situations, we cannot avoid suffering. The attitude of forgiveness is a culmination of spiritual practice and inner growth. By cultivating it, one can cultivate all other related virtues. Whether you forgive someone or not, it depends upon the circumstances and your essential nature. In spiritual practice, you learn to forgive others unconditionally, irrespective of circumstances. Bhagavadgita recommends to cultivate the attitude of forgiveness through spiritual transformation. So, what exactly is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a part of the process of healing and letting go of the past. Forgiveness can even lead to feelings of understanding, empathy, and compassion for the one who hurt you. Forgiveness brings a kind of peace that helps you to go on with life. When two people are angry with each other, each side feels hurt by the other and would like to receive an apology. Unfortunately, many people believe that they lose by admitting they hurt the other person. So, neither side apologizes and the mutual resentment continues indefinitely. It's important to remember that you do not lose by apologizing and admitting that you have been hurting the other person. You win, and so does the other person. Forgiveness is a divine quality. The attitude of forgiveness belongs to a higher state of mind. One can attain that state and cultivate forgiving nature by self-purification through spiritual practice. The Bhagavad-gita clearly states that forgiveness arises from God. It is associated with other divine qualities such as intelligence, knowledge, freedom from delusion, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, fearlessness, non-violence, austerity, charity, etc. We have a lot of misconceptions about forgiveness. For example, it means being weak, not demanding justice, excusing the reprehensible behavior, or letting oneself be treated badly. It's not any of those things at all. Forgiveness means to cease to feel resentment against someone or something. It is very empowering to know that you can regain your sense of self. You can wake up each day without reliving the past, even though you won't forget it. Let's know more myths about forgiveness. Forgiveness means forgetting. This is absolutely false. Your brain doesn't stop remembering. Instead of dwelling on the past, you are now free to protect yourself and move on. The second myth: forgiving means you are a pushover. Absolutely not. Forgiving puts you in a position of strength. You can still hold people accountable, but you take away that person's power to hurt you anymore. The third myth: forgiving means you can't get angry. Not true at all. You don't excuse unkind, inconsiderate, selfish behavior nor minimize your own pain. You can't change the past or predict the future, but you don't have to suffer forever either. Fourth myth: forgiving means reconciliation. Not always. It just gives you emotional space to make decisions that are best for you. It helps you decide with strength and confidence what's best for you. You can decide if you want to work things out or just walk away or do something else. Now that we know the myths of forgiveness, let's understand the role of ego in forgiveness. In mundane life, it's not always easy to forgive someone, especially if they have caused you great harm or hurt. The ego is the one who hurts and gets hurt. It plays an important role in personal conflicts and in hurting others or becoming hurt by them in the process. It's easy offended because it is vulnerable to anger, envy, pride, lust, etc. Ego is the cause of desires, attachments, expectations, restlessness, and mental instability. If you are offended, disturbed, irritated, or inconvenienced by your actions or those of others, you can be certain that it's your ego which is reacting and which is responsible for it. You can use these feelings as barometers to gauge the strength or the pressure of your ego. If you are frequently hurt or offended by others, it means you have a strong ego and you need to work on it. Because of that, in many spiritual traditions, the initiates are advised to attract criticism and negative attention from others by deliberate acts and create opportunities to weaken their egos and cultivate equanimity and sameness. Ego is also known as anava, that means atomicity. It refers to the feeling or the attitude that you are an individual entity which is distinct and separate from Ananta, the infinite God. Anavatva, or the feeling of egoism, makes you insecure, selfish, self-important, and defensive. Hence, those who are predominantly egoistic are easily provoked by others. They also tend to be aggressive towards others. That's fine. What's in for me? Why should we forgive? Forgiveness lessens the amount of hurt, anger, stress, and depression that people experience. People who forgive also become more hopeful, optimistic, and compassionate and have enhanced conflict resolution skills. The act of forgiveness also increases energy and overall well-being. In Bhagavadgita, forgiveness is mentioned as a virtue in conjunction with other divine qualities. Arjuna repeatedly sought forgiveness of Lord Krishna for his behavior, questions, doubting nature, ignorance, and lack of discernment. Lord Krishna always responded with loving kindness. According to the Bhagavad Gita, one may seek forgiveness for inappropriate behavior, whether it is intentional or unintentional. All is well, but how to forgive? Acknowledge the pain you feel and recognize who is responsible for causing that pain. Express your emotions in healthy ways. Release any expectations you have of righting the wrong that was done to you. Be mindful of or restore your boundaries so that this doesn't happen again. Remind yourself that people cannot give you what they don't have. Remember what to expect of others. Find new ways to get your needs met in the future. Don't say things like, I'm sorry you feel that way. This is not an apology, but a criticism. Don't make your apology conditional on the other person's apology. Something like, I will admit I was wrong if you admit you were wrong. Just apologize for what you did wrong. If the person wants to apologize back, it's their choice, but do not expect it. Learning to forgive requires acceptance by acknowledging that what happened really happened instead of wishing it were different. Release the unhealthy attachment you previously maintained concerning how the other person behaves. Reframe your life story and find meaning in the broken places. Redefine, recreate, and restructure your life. Friends, now that we learned how to forgive, finally, let's also understand devotion and forgiveness. A true devotee is one who offers his ego to God, who is ultimate enjoyer of all. When you overcome egoism by offering it on the altar of God as a token of surrender, sacrifice, and humility, you do not find any reason to hurt others or feel hurt by their actions or attitude. Forgiveness becomes your essential nature, whereby you remain equal to fame and defame, praise and criticism, friendship and enmity, and cultivate the attitude to forgive others, whether they seek forgiveness or not. Having erased your individuality and the boundaries of your ego, you also see God in everyone, and by that, you accept whatever that happens to you as a part of God's play. If someone hurts you or insults you, you will believe that the God in him wanted to test you or teach you an important lesson. You accept all suffering as a gift from God. In the egoless state, you also feel empathy with others and relate to them, as you are no more lost in your own feelings and no more stuck behind the defenses and mental filters of your ego. Without the ego, you find it easier not only to identify yourself with them, but also feel their feelings and know their thoughts. It is difficult to reach this noble stage and attain the state of the Muni or the Silent One, in which everything is unconditionally accepted and forgiven, and no explanation is offered in defense of any action, inaction, or intention. The perfect yogi is not compelled by any particular desire to prevail upon others or claim self-importance. He is contented by whatever happens or does not happen, and in whatever circumstances he finds himself. Although it is a difficult and perilous path, the Bhagavad Gita affirms that with spiritual practice and devotion to God, one can extinguish the flame of ego and attain that exalted state of nirvana, or the state of endless peace and equanimity. Friends, bottom line, let's learn and explore the power of forgiveness. Hari Om.